y'all, Vicky here. Thank you so much for taking part in our 21-day yoga challenge. My video today focuses on Yin Yoga, which is great for improving our mobility, our flexibility. Lots of great deep stretches we'll do today. And these are, you can do this practice in conjunction with another workout. Whether it be a run or weightlifting or something along those lines where you need a warm-up and or a cool down. So this workout can be used in numerous different ways. So we'll highlight that as we go today as well. So today I'm going to start in easy pose. I'm going to sit up on a block. If you don't have a block handy with you at home, you can sit up on a pillow or a couple of cushions. But I like to sit on the block because it allows me to open up my hips a little bit more, sit up a little bit straighter, have a more better posture, and a straight but not rigid spine. So with any practice, I like to take a moment to kind of just settle in, let the breath slow down a little bit, and just get used to my environment and getting ready to work. So allow the eyes to be heavy, place the hands open, palms up on the knees, and just let the breath slow down a little bit. Intentional inhales and exhales through the nose. Thinking about filling up and then releasing. Nice inhale in through the nose and exhale through the mouth. All right, from this posture, I'm going to go ahead and do a little twist. So bringing the left hand to the right knee and the right hand behind me, looking back over my right shoulder. It's a little bit of twist here, warming up the spine. Getting a nice twist. Stretching through the abdomen. And changing to the other side. Bringing the right hand to the left knee, looking back over the left shoulder. Giving a nice twist here. And release, coming back around. I'm going to go ahead and set my block to the side for a second and come into child's pose. So just pushing those hips back towards the heels and then releasing the upper body down to the mat. You can give your forehead a nice massage here by just rolling the head from side to side a couple times on your mat. Just allowing those arms to really stretch out in front of you. Getting a nice stretch through the back, into the shoulders. We're going to extend the stretch by leaving the elbows on the mat and bringing the thumbs to the back of the neck. You can walk those elbows out a little bit further if you like. Getting a nice tricep stretch here. Also stretching further into the upper back. Taking a few breaths here. And releasing the thumbs away from the neck and pushing it up into a tabletop position. We're going to bring the wrists under the shoulders and the knees under the hips. We're going to run through 3 rounds of cat-cow to warm up the spine and the abdomen. So inhale, pull the belly button in, arch the back up, release the head down for cat. Exhale, let the belly come down and stretch the neck, looking up. 2 more. Inhale, pull the belly button in, arch the back. Exhale, release down, coming into cow. 1 more. Inhale, pull the belly button in, arch the back, really stretch here. Exhale, release down, stretch through the belly. Coming back to a neutral position, we're going to warm up the wrists a little bit, stretch through the hands and forearms and elbows. So turn those fingers towards the sides of the mat And just let the body weight shift from side to side a couple times. Working into those wrist joints, into all the little joints in the hands, even into the elbows and shoulders. And then still the body, we're going to turn the fingers towards the knees as much as possible. And allow the weight to come forward and backwards a couple times. Stretching through the forearms into the elbows. All right, then still the body, let those fingers come forward once again. And we're going to do thread the needle. We're going to stretch through the shoulders here. So allow that right arm to come up and then bring it through the hole, bringing the shoulder and the ear down to the mat. Stretching out that left arm in front of you. A nice stretch through the shoulders and the upper back. Really relax into this one. The shoulders are definitely a place we tend to lock in a lot of tension and tightness. These stretches help to release that and ease that tightness. Coming back up to tabletop position, we'll go to the other side. Left arm comes up, thread the needle, bring the shoulder and the ear down to the mat, stretch out that right arm in front of you. Settling into thread the needle on this side. And lifting back up to tabletop position. We're going to move into lizard pose. So we're going to bring the right foot up outside of both hands. Release that left knee back a little bit. And then roll the right foot out to the knife edge. So we're doing a nice stretch into the hip here, working into the knee, the ankle joint as well. You can stay up on your hands here. Or I like to use my block and bring my forearms down onto my block. If you have a lot of flexibility, you can bring those forearms all the way down to the mat. And relax the upper body into this pose. Lizard is a big hip opening pose. Just like the shoulders, the hip joints tend to get really tight and lock in a lot of tension, tightness. By stretching through lizard and pigeon, which we'll do here in a little bit, we unlock some of that tightness, release a bit, allow the joints to open. Yin poses, deep stretches, are generally held for anywhere from 30 seconds to 5 minutes, depending on the pose, depending on the practice. I like to hold these poses for about 2 minutes at a time. Feel like that's enough time for me to get a good stretch. And then be ready to move on to the next pose. All right, I'm going to lift back up, roll that foot back in. And I'm going to move to the other side. So coming back to tabletop and then bringing the left foot up, releasing the right leg back a little bit. I'm going to replace my block. And then roll that left foot out to the knife edge. Stay up on your hands if that is enough for you, or come down lower to deepen the stretch. Once again, we're going to hold here for quite a while. The goal is to come to the edge and hang out there, getting more comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's going to allow us to really work deep into the connective tissue, into the fascia, and really allow those joints to open up, giving us greater ease of just moving around in life, greater flexibility. Even things like posture improve when we have more flexibility in our joints. more breath cycles here. And lifting back up, allowing that foot to roll back in. Coming back to tabletop. Give the hips a couple swishes just to get the blood flowing again there. And then we're going to sit all the way down onto the mat to extend the legs out in front of you. And we're just going to come into a nice forward fold. Seems like a very simple pose, but it can be very challenging if you have tight hamstrings. Those big muscles along the back sides of the thighs. If you're a runner, those can get really tight. So we're just going to lift up the upper body and release it over the lower body. Big stretch through the full back side of the body here. All the way through the legs, the back, even into the shoulders here. If you want a place to rest your head, use that block. Otherwise, just let gravity work on you. Allow those palms to be open. We don't want to be grasping and pulling ourselves down. We want to allow the body to relax into the pose. If you're feeling a great deal of tension in the knees or in the backs of the legs, just bend those knees a little bit. That'll alleviate that tension, but also still allow you to get the nice stretch in the forward fold. We always want to honor where our body is, and that may change from day to day. And lifting back up out of forward fold. We're going to move into saddle next. We've just stretched through the hamstrings, the back sides of the legs. We're now going to stretch into the quads. So I'm going to bring my right heel back towards my right hip. You may stay right here. This may be enough of a stretch for you, especially if you have any knee issues. You don't want to go too far with these poses. We want to really pay attention to how the body feels and where it can go. But if your knees are good, you can come down either onto your forearms, relaxing back a little bit. We're keeping that knee joint on the mat, or you can come all the way down flat on your mat, or I have my block under my back because I'm not quite flexible enough to come all the way flat down on my mat. So find where you are and relax into it. And this is half saddle. The arms can be relaxed along your sides, or place your hands on your belly. Just find a good spot. And we're going to lift back up out of saddle. Stretch that right leg out in front of you. Shake it a little bit. And then we'll switch to the other side. Bring that left heel back towards the left hip. Set up nice and tall. And then release down lower if you so desire. And stay up on those forearms. Or work your way further down. Whatever works for you. And it very well may change from day to day. You may find that one side of the body is way more flexible than the other. That is very common to have some imbalances. Just be aware of it and work within the limits of your body. And we'll lift back up. Release the left leg out in front of you. Give it a nice shake out. And then we are going to come into Cobra. So all the way down on our bellies. We're actually first going to come into Sphinx. So we're bringing those elbows so that they're under their shoulders. Spreading out the hands in front of you. Opening up the chest, making sure we release those shoulders down away from the ears. Nice stretch through the chest and into the abdomen. We're going to release all the way down, shift the hands under the shoulders, and straighten the arms out, coming into cobra. Once again, the shoulders are released away from the ears. Still getting that nice stretch through the chest, but now we're working further into the abdomen. You can even turn your gaze up towards the ceiling if you so desire, or keep the neck neutral. Then we're going to tuck those toes and lift the hips, coming into down dog. Pushing those heels down towards the mat. Full body stretch through the back side of the body, the entire posterior chain. Coming into an equilateral triangle here. Strong through the hands and feet. Hips are lifted. And then we'll return to cobra. And return to down dog. In these down dogs, you may choose to pedal out the feet a few times, stretching more into the back of the legs. And then return to cobra. And back to down dog. Two more times. Back to cobra. And returning to down dog. One more. Back to cobra. And down dog. And allow those knees to come down. Coming back to our tabletop position. And we're going to move into pigeon. Pigeon is the ultimate hip opening yoga stretch. So we're going to bring the right knee towards the right wrist. Relax that left leg out behind you. Wanting to work that right shin as parallel to the top of the mat as possible. Big stretch through the hip here. You can stay up on the hands or work your way down to your forearms or all the way down to the mat. You can also utilize that block, putting it under your forehead if you'd like a little support. We'll spend quite a bit of time here, allowing that hip to open up, stretch out. Longer holds of Yin Yoga allow you to really focus on the breath. These poses can become very meditative. You may even choose to repeat a mantra as you hold. And I'm going to lift up and out on a quad stretch here in pigeon. I'm going to bend up that left leg and reach back with my left hand, taking hold of the foot. Make sure to keep the chest up. Still getting that hip stretch. And we're also adding in a quad stretch here as well. And then release the foot. Bring it back to tabletop position. Feel free to swish those hips a couple times. And then move to the left side. Left knee towards the left wrist. Relax the right leg behind you. Bring that left shin as parallel as you can. Either staying up on the hands or relaxing down onto the forearms or all the way down to the mat. Up to you. If you have props, feel free to utilize them. And take another moment to check in with the breath. And also make sure there's no clenching happening in the body. Sometimes we start to clench in the jaw, or the tongue gets stuck to the roof of the mouth. It's always good to take a check and make sure that everything is relaxed. And then we're going to move from here into our quad stretch. So lifting that right foot, taking hold of it with the right hand, settle into pigeon with a quad stretch. Just a few seconds here, still getting that nice stretch through the hip, but also getting a quad stretch. And release the foot and release back to a seated position. Stretch those legs out, give them a nice wiggle, and then we're going to move into fish. We're going to utilize the block once again. And you always are able to use pillows or cushions if you don't have a block. Block's going to go under the shoulder blades, and you're going to release the head down behind you. This allows the spine to bend in a way that it doesn't always. In our daily life, we do a lot of bending over, a lot of either bending over a keyboard or stooping over a steering wheel, all those kinds of things. This fish pose allows us to counteract a bunch of that. So lifting the head and then lifting the shoulders off the block, coming back to seated. For just a moment, move that block out of the way and lay back down. We're going to come into a supine twist. The feet are flat on the mat, knees are bent. Bring the arms out to a T position. And then we're going to shift the hips a bit to the right, drop the knees to the left. And you can look out over that right hand if you'd like to involve the neck in this pose as well. If not, keep the neck neutral. And settle into this nice twist. Great for the spine. Twists are also helpful for our digestive system. So not only increasing mobility, but also increasing motility. Bring everything back to center. And then we're going to shift to the other side. Shift the hips a bit to the left, drop the knees to the right. Shift your gaze out over the left hand if you so desire. Or keep the neck neutral. And then returning back to center, we're going to come into reclined pigeon next. Bring the right ankle to the left knee, pulling in on that left thigh. We're releasing the low back into the mat. Should feel real nice on the low back. Still getting a little bit of stretch into the hip joint as well. But really looking to release the low back. And release, and we'll go to the opposite side. Left ankle, right knee. Pull in on that right thigh, releasing the low back. And release down. And we'll finally come into happy baby. Lift those feet up. Grab a hold of the inside of the feet or onto the legs. And really pull those knees in. Release the low back. Roll around a little bit. Give the back a massage. Bend and straighten the legs a few times. Really stretching and massaging the back here. And then release the feet. And settle into Savasana. If you have some time, pause the video here and rest in Savasana for as long as you are able to. Otherwise, just take a couple deep breaths with me. And now full body stretch. Extend the arms overhead. Point the toes. One long line with the body. Release. Roll to one side. And then begin to work your way to a seated position. Take in another nice couple deep breaths. Wonderful. So this has been my video on mobility. Any of these poses can be done separately on their own. You can do this practice on its own or as a warm-up or a cool down, depending on what you're looking for. If you've got tight hips, do a couple lizards or pigeon poses. If your shoulders are feeling kind of tight, try out thread the needle. Thank you so much for watching and participating in our 21-day yoga challenge. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.